country. Can we start, next slides, please? That's our base camp. The dark stuff on the end is the motor pool. Nothing was surfaced. That was pentaprime spread on dirt to keep the dust down. We all lived in there. There were about 500 of us in the battalion. Across the street over here, trailer transfer point, and this was all an assembly area. Convoy is anywhere from 15 to 100 trucks, broken up into serials usually. Next slide, please. Beautiful country. This is Quinyon, beach area, it's at sea level. Not real good pictures. They're kind of like me. They're old and tired, but it truly a pristine beaches. Next one, please. Rice paddies, grow a lot of rice over there. It's the color doesn't show, multicolored green, really pretty. Next one, please. Can't see the green, but this is all grown rice and the jungle effect that you started seeing down along in the Quinyon area. Now, Quinyon and the area we were in, 2 Corps Tactical Zone, was all, it was called the Central Highlands. And I'll show you a little something about that in a minute. Next slide, please. The green shows up there. Vietnam grows 2 crops of rice a year as opposed to the 1 they do here in Japan. Next one, please. Now we're getting up in the mountains. To get to Pleiku, we went to 2 very high, steep mountain passes. But I got to tell you, until they dumped Agent Orange all over most of the routes and nearby, they were a beautiful green color. Next one, please. Okay, we'll get to that one in a minute. Like I said, it was great being able to tour through this really beautiful country and having a job that gave me satisfaction and really made me feel like I was making a contribution. Those soldiers needed the supplies we were taking to them, be it beans, be it bullets, and medical supplies, whatever. And it was a damn good feeling. Even running the convoys through the hostile territory was an adventure, and it was exciting, because you never know what was going to be around the next corner. As I mentioned, the group introduced the hardened vehicle concept, and I think it's still used to some degree today. We took the beds off of either a 2.5 ton or a 5 ton cargo truck, made a walled-in area we filled with sandbags, and then put 1/4-inch armor plating around the vehicle, front and rear, on the doors and the sides. And that became what we just called gun trucks. They were usually a 4-man crew, including the driver. And each gun truck, when we started, had at least 1 50 caliber machine gun and 1 M60 machine gun. In the later models, and as you saw in the flick, there were even some of them got miniguns. It was not unusual to see 2 quad 50s, 3 50s, 2 50s, and sometimes even quad 50s that all fired in tandem. I'm here to tell you, machine guns can bring some pee. The NCOIC, which was usually a E5 sergeant, had an M79 grenade launcher and 45, and all the crew also had their M16s. These gun trucks were our road security and had the mission of moving into a kill zone in the middle of an ambush, and a damn fine job they did. Let's see the next slide, please. That is one of the later modified ones. That's actually an M113 APC hull mounted on top of a 5 ton truck. Next one, please. That's a regular 5 ton going down on K Pass. You'll notice it's real brown on both sides of the road. That's what Agent Orange will do to growing things. Maybe people too, I don't know. Next one, please. This is the assembly area up in Pleiku. We'd get there, the trucks had to go to their various supply depots to drop their loads. So all the control vehicles all gathered in an assembly area, and then the swarms of we called them coke girls, would come running over and sell you trinkets and cokes, and the GIs, we had a little problem with the uniform discipline there, I guess, perhaps. Next slide, please. It wasn't all peaches and cream and roses. It was kind of dangerous out there on occasion. This is one of our gun trucks that got hit outside of Ankei. B-40 rocket went right through the door, killed the driver and one of the crew members. This happened more often than I'd like to admit to. Most of our threat in those days was from small arms fire and these rocket-propelled grenades, which is quite different, I guess, than most of you experienced with the IEDs in Afghanistan and Iraq. So was it for me. Like I said, and let's see, let's get another slide. There I am. I'm on your left. I didn't have much hair then either, I guess. That was me and the guy on the right's last day in country. That's our battalion commander. It's the only picture I could find with me in it. But it was quite an interesting evening. And let's see. Life wasn't always so good after we got back to the world, though. And there's a lot of hate and discontent about the war and about the Army and about the military in general. And some of us were treated pretty shabbily by the American people. I feel a lot of it was directed at the Army and the government, but it was also directed at us as individuals, I think. And I'll make a comparison about that a little later. So back in October of '69, I decided the Army I was having too much fun, so I decided to stay in, and as one of the bennies of re-enlisting, so to speak, they sent me to Camp Zama. And then I was further posted to our ammunition depot and ports down in the Kure area in Hiroshima. I spent 3 very busy and very exciting years down there, either shipping ammo to Vietnam or receiving it as retrograde as they brought it out of Vietnam as the war was winding down. But here in Japan, there was quite a bit of unrest over the war. And whereas the government of Japan was very, very supportive of our efforts, and a lot of support came out of Japan out of Okinawa, out of Sagami Depot, and most of the areas were in support of Vietnam. And the government was very good. But for some reason, the anti-war spirit captured the hearts and minds of the students and the radicals, and we had a lot of demonstrations, some of them kind of violent occasionally. I don't know, maybe that's what students do best. But anyway, in Kure, around our installations, we used to have these demos that would run about 3 hours. It would be groups of people snake dancing and big loudspeaker trucks, and it really disrupted operations because we couldn't go in and out of the installations. But it got real bad later on in '72. We had been bringing in combat-damaged APCs and M48 tanks, and they were all landing at North Dock, Yokohama. We were putting them on military transport, mostly organic dragon wagons that we had, and hauling them to Sagami Depot. Sagami Depot had a complete rebuild facility for APCs and tanks. I mean, complete. Hull jobs and the whole bit. Had about 5,000 employees at Sagami Depot. It was really busy out there. But we'd fix the vehicles and send them back down to Yokohama, and they were being shipped back into Vietnam. Well, the protests just seemed to get bigger and bigger, and more occasionally violence, lots and lots of cops around everywhere. And they discovered the areas around North Dock and outside of Sagami Depot. There were some kind of wide spots, and they were able to get a bunch of demonstrators in there. And it got so bad at one point in time, late in '72, that the mayor of Yokohama actually sat down in the middle of the street, right in front of the bumper of the first truck, and prevented it from going on to Sagami Depot. Well, we stopped operations, and I don't think they ever really continued after that. But by that point in time, the war was really starting to wind down, even though it didn't officially get over until '75. The retrograde operation had started to really take place. Quite often the soldiers driving these dragon wagons said that rather than what they were experiencing with the demonstrations, they said they'd just as soon be back in Vietnam. Privately, the mayor, who sat in front of the truck, said, I really don't have a problem with what you guys are doing, but it's a political expediency just to show support for my constituency. Now, having said that, it's my personal belief that although there was a lot of anti-war sentiment and there were a lot of very disruptive and sometimes violent actions, I never felt that there was a lot of anti-American or anti-soldier sentiment here in Japan. That just wasn't always the case in my country. Today, I believe the relationship between us and most of the Japanese citizens is the best it has ever been, irrespective of our involvement in Vietnam or the irresponsible actions of a few. I also believe that they hold our military in high regard. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you again for the honor, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir, for those outstanding remarks. At this time, the United States Army Japan Command Team will join Lieutenant Colonel retired Robert Gordon on stage. And now Colonel Johnson and Command Sergeant Major Dumont Carrion will present our special guest speaker a gift for his outstanding performance and support in today's ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we will recognize our Vietnam veterans in attendance with us today. Each veteran will be presented a certificate of appreciation from the United States Army Garrison, Japan, and the 50th anniversary lapel pendant. Will the following individuals please join us on stage? Mr. William A. Moore, Staff Sergeant, U.S. Air Force, served in Vietnam March 1967 to March 1968. Mr. Calvin Banks, Sergeant First Class, U.S. Army, served in Vietnam 65 to 66, 69 to 70. Mr. James White, Sergeant Major, U.S. Army, served in Vietnam August 1970 to June 1971. Mr. Ken Littlefield, Captain, U.S. Army, served in Vietnam, 1975. And as I mentioned, each veteran will be